Ahoy and welcome. I am the Pirate Tester and I'm here with my latest video. Today I would like to talk to you about why I enjoy software testing and why I would like to encourage other people to be software testers. Software development is a lot more known, is a lot more renowned. When I read posts online about people how they want to earn more money, a very common thing is learn to code. There's always a big push for people if they want to get into IT to learn to write software. No one ever considers should people be also then be reviewing their software, which is what I do. So with software testing, to me, I see it as viewing a puzzle, kind of like a game. So imagine someone says, I want you to build a website and it does X. It's got a name field and it's got an address bar and search and all this kind of stuff. And someone will go, fantastic, I will build that for you. That's what the developer often does. They will build what you got asked for. What I like to do as a tester is I like to invert what's been asked for, what's been done. So they go, I want it to have a name field. Okay, well, how big do you want this name field? Is it a set one for first name, one for surname? Do you want other names? What happens if they only have the one name? For example, Share or Teller from Penn and Teller. They are just legally Teller. But if you're set up, you must have a first and a surname. What do those people do? Do you say there's a minimum amount of characters they must have? Okay, yeah, you must have a first name, but it must be 3 or more letters long. Okay, what happens if their name's Joe? Just J-O, Joe, or their last name. Often you could have a national bias. If someone's last name is Lee, L-I, and you make it minimum 3 characters, they can't use your website. Is that right? What's the maximum length as well? What happens if you try and put in a name or values that are too big for this? These kind of things is what I enjoy. One thought I've had in the past is I see a software developer like the 3 Little Pigs, and I come along as the big bad wolf. Often to a developer, the software tester is sadly the enemy. So I'll get their code, we'll huff and we'll puff and we'll blow their code down. But what people don't think about with the big bad wolf is if those first 2 houses, the straw house and the wood house, straw, wood, brick, the first 2 houses, they weren't fit for purpose. They weren't good to live in. If a wolf can blow them down, a bit of bad weather would kill them. That's terrible. But you need someone to come along to, not necessarily to break things, because that's an entirely different discussion point of do software testers break things, and depending who you ask, yes, and other people, no, we don't. You built it broken, we just proved it. But you need someone who's come in with a different mindset to go, okay, if it can do this, what happens if it does something else? What happens if I press this button twice before the page loads? Does it submit the information twice? Does it ignore the first attempt and only count from the second one? These kind of things. So I like it that's what I enjoy about software testing. But the thing with software testing is, as a tester, you don't just have to test the software. You're testing the requirements. You're testing the ideas. So if someone said, we want a website which does name, address, presses search, even before it gets built, that's where you can come up with these questions of going, okay, well, do we want first name, surname? Do we want a section for other names? Oh, hadn't thought about that. Yes, we need it, or no, it doesn't apply for what we need. Okay, we're looking for address. What happens if their address is in a different country? If they're in a block of flats, so if we got it where we can say flat 1, then it's like 1 make-believe avenue. Do we handle it where we got a bit for the flat number and then the street, for example, on a different line? What happens if they've got a really long name, really long address, a really short one? You can test ideas even before you get code. You don't have to wait for the code to come to you. If anything, that can they might go, well, we built it now, just do what we've got built, not necessarily what asked for. But by testing the ideas, it can influence what gets built or how it gets built. And whilst it can be a very underappreciated role, often it's a very necessary role. How many times have people complained a game has come out, a computer game has come out, and it's been buggy, or why didn't people find these things? And yet there are the amount of variables you can get in something when you build it. Every time you add something, it just grows and grows and grows what all the things can do. If you go, right, you've got a button, you can either select 0 or 1. Okay, I've only got 2 options, fine. We're going to have another button underneath, which is 0, 1. Well, hang on, you've now doubled my options. I can have 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 1, 1, 0. You add another one and you turn it to 8 points, then 16. And that's just if you've got a binary choice. If you've got lots of different options you can do in a game or on a website and all these paths, it can often be impossible to try them all. But that's where you need to think about what we're wanting to try and prove and why. Well, there's these outliers that are not going to happen very often. Well, let's focus on either the common stuff or what's the most likely to make a system, a website, a server break. Okay, if it can handle these extreme things, fantastic. If it can't, okay, should we do something about it? Was chatting with a friend online the other day, and they knew about someone when testing a text box on a website. There was no restriction on how many characters could be put into it. And the people designing it, they were like, yeah, we trust our users to just put a reasonable amount of stuff in. So tester came along and they put in the complete text of War and Peace because it is a monstrous amount of text. And it went bang, amazingly. And so it should. But if they asked and said, do you want this to have a limit? Someone could, what happens if we overload it? And they went, yeah, we only want them to put 2,000 characters. Any more than that, and we'll just cut off the text. And maybe when it's getting towards the end, or just continuously, we tell them how many characters they can put in. That way they don't try and put in something too big. Press send. And imagine if this is someone who's complaining about a company, a website, a process. They write out this lengthy thing, press go, and it goes bang. You're not doing yourself any favors if someone's complaining about something and then the complaint process crashes. How bad would that be? But as a tester, we could go, okay, what will happen if someone puts in too much stuff? It goes bang. Do we really want it to go bang, or do we want to stop that from happening? They might decide, no, it's going to be so rare, fine. But we can provoke the ideas. We can challenge what people want to do. An approach that I've discussed with other people is they think about the unhappy path. They think about all the good stuff. You press this button, this thing happens. Groovy. I like thinking, as I said, all the weird stuff there. How can it go wrong? What shouldn't someone do with it? Because if they do those things, then what will happen? Developers I've worked with are very, yep, you've asked us to build this, it does this, wonderful. But by just thinking about all those weird things, not everyone, but conversely, it's not for everyone. It can be very negative at times, thinking of all the bad things, all the wrong things that something should have. And sometimes it can be quite demoralizing, always thinking about the bad stuff, how not to use something. So it's not a case of everyone should be a tester. It isn't for everyone. But conversely, I would say not everyone should be writing software, should be writing requirements. I fell into software testing, but I've been doing it over 8 years, nearly 8.5 years now. And I really enjoy it. It's why I stick with it. But there's always so many things you can learn with it. There isn't one way to test and that's it. So if you like the idea of being given something new and going, how can I break it? What happens if I press these buttons? What happens if I do X, Y, Z instead of ABC like they told me, have a look into software testing, what you can do about it. If you want to know more about my experience with software testing or what my next steps were, so forth, either put something in the comments or message me through Twitter. I'm at the Pirate Tester, unsurprisingly. And you can also contact me on my website, thepiratetester.wordpress.com. There's a contact me button on there. So yeah, I just find it it's weird saying very fun and enjoyable, trying to think how I can break a piece of software or a concept or an idea, and it's what keeps me going, and hopefully it makes you appreciate why I do what I do, and might either encourage you to do it, or you might know someone who would like this as a career, as a role, and didn't know it was a thing. They'll be like, or as a warning to prospective developers to go, you do know at some point someone will take your code and try to break it. And if they're not used to someone reviewing their work and using it that way, it can be demoralizing. I would say this: I'm not trying to prove you wrong. I'm trying to prove it's right. But the only way I can prove it's right is trying to think of all the ways it can go wrong. And if they can't happen, fantastic. We're both trying to work together to make something that works. It's just we're going about it in very different ways. Hope you've enjoyed the videos. Like or dislike it if you like or don't like it. If you don't like it, let me know why and what I can do better next time. Thanks very much.